So with really the discussion around intensity, walk me through. So when you're doing, gosh, and I know it's like with deadlifts, it's like I have a girl who's a powerlifter. She like, I give her a top set at 8 because she's in a fat loss phase, and I'm like, it's literally it's just one set. So I'm like, okay, like there's constraints put in place. But I'm like, fuck, she's lifting like 225 for 8 reps. I'm like, that's so much weight. Like, let's go down to 2 sets of 5. Like, that's just so torturous for me. But sorry. So I'm trying to like convert this. So if you're doing, let's say, like a set of 6 to 8 for like a squat pattern or deadlift, is that kind of the range you're sticking within right now during this phase?
Actually, right now, what I'm doing is like I like to try and keep like like strength, just maintain it. So usually, what I would do is like I work up to like either like a heavy single. Right now, I've been doing like heavy doubles. Like I just started a new mesocycle right now where I do like heavy triples, just as a like because as I get leaner, the injury risk is also like getting a bit higher. So it's like, okay, maybe staying away from those singles, but doing like double or triple. Work my way up there, do maybe like 2 to 4 sets with like just like heavy weights, and then I do back off sets with like 6 to 8 reps, to do more like a hypertrophy, um, like, or at least the goal is more like a hypertrophy focused. Um,
Like a volume accumulation, but you're doing it on the
yeah.
back end, not on the front end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's like, and I actually like that way because it's also like kind of like a PAP kind of thing, like a post-activation potentiation. It's like when you go really heavy and then do a back off, it's like, okay, if I, for example, I did squats yesterday, it was like, okay, I worked my way up, so it was like warming up, going to like 60 and 80 kilos is like, okay, they might feel a bit heavy, but then I do like triples on 105. This is like kilos, so I'm not sure how much that is in pounds, but like in kilos, okay, doing 4 triples with that, then going back down to like 65 kilos for 4 sets of 8. Suddenly 65 is like super easy because I've actually like, because it's like 40 kilos less. And I actually really like that feeling of like, okay, once you do like the back offs, it's like it feels so much more easier. And then I do like 4 sets of 8 with that to just like, yeah, accumulate the volume, like you say. And then I, well, at least this time around, I'm trying to like when I do the heavy stuff, I do like with a belt, with like a real powerlifting belt and like knee sleeves and everything to just get the strength. And then when I go into like the hypertrophy side, it's like I drop the belt, I drop the sleeves, the eccentric like tempo is like slowing down, like slight pause at the bottom as well, so I don't use that like stress shortening cycle. I just like really use the yeah. So it's like the same exercise, but you can really, I like that I can really choose, okay, what is actually the goal with this exercise? And it can be totally different, even though it's the exact same movement, huh?
Yes, no, and you explain that so beautifully, like being very intentional with your primary movement. So in the case of squat pattern, it's like there's oftentimes this belief. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to overdevelop my quads if I do a bilateral back squat or a machine back squat. It's like even within someone who is very like performance oriented, there's still the intention of putting yourself in a position where you can create meaningful tension in the muscles so that you can maintain that same, or so that you have the ability to maintain that same position once you're at that working weight. And oftentimes, what I find is like, for me on my warm up sets for let's say like a B stance, like I'm gonna do three warm up sets. And the first one, like I that's my first audit for how I'm doing. So how good of a job am I doing at the pelvis, like keeping a neutral pelvic position or keeping the rib cage stacked over the pelvis? How good am I doing at internally rotating that back, that non-working hip? Am I lined up correctly? Is the dumbbell move like am I like propriocept, which is a made up word. Am I doing that correctly and oriented well around where the dumbbell needs to stay? And I'm using those warm up sets similar to you to kind of audit like what is my working set going to be. And recently, like with the B stance or with the dumbbell bilateral RDL, that working set, that top set is just one, like you, because I'm just like, I'll probably do 10 reps there, maybe 12 if if I need to drag it out. But then the idea is like, okay, like I satisfied my ego that like, hey, I hit the weight I wanted to hit today. That was appropriate for the position I can maintain in my capacity. But then after that, if that, let's say for like a B stance, what I've been doing on Wednesdays, it's been so good after filming because I'm rested and recovered from just like 8 hours of filming. I'll go in later in the afternoon. I'm fed better, typically better rested. And like I've been working up to 100 for the B stance, 100 pounds. But then I'm intentionally doing those back off sets for those same reasons, like to create longer time under tension so that I am more focused towards the hypertrophy of it, not just ripping heavy weight, which I think people can almost look at it in a more dogmatic view of like, it's either lifting heavy or lifting for hypertrophy, which is light, toned, like lifting high volume. And it's like, it doesn't have to be like exclusive like that.
Hmm. Oh my God, yeah. That's so, again, it's like it's very cool to hear that it's like I don't know, that we're working in such a similar way. It's interesting.
No, it's super interesting. And I think it's like it's good that you're putting out so much training content too on your like on your stories, on your feed, because I think oftentimes people assume the only way to build is doing super high volume. And I always say I'm like in lieu of intensity, yes, volume will work. And there's a time where we should pull back on intensity to preserve that athletic health and prevent risk of injury. But I really do believe like a lot of people are going to get more out of getting really strong. And if they are designing their program in a way that's biased towards their muscular goals, like, in the case building your glutes and not just your quads, like getting really strong, there's going to be a very good correlation there between that strength accrual and muscle accrual.
Mm, mm. Yeah, 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 definitely. And thank you so much for I appreciate you mentioning like my um my story like content is like often I'm like even thinking like oh, like are people getting tired of this? Like I always like like I post the same lifts. It's just like squats, deadlifts, and then like a bench. Of course I do like a lot of other stuff, but it's like yeah, I like to yeah, I do show a lot of those sites. And what I posted about recently is also like ever since I started like the bikini journey, it's like I remember when I started, this was in, yeah, like 2016. It was like bikini was all about those booty bands and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm gonna prove people wrong, I want to show that this can be done with like yeah. And I don't know why, but it's yeah, so I appreciate it.
No, the intention resonates with me a lot because I don't have a problem with these workouts being like these high volume workouts and everything being looped and like crab walks and whatever. If that was the right way, like the best way, then I'd be like, yeah, okay, like that's just what we need to do. But like, I just feel so convicted on the fact I'm like, there's just not really any standard when it comes to training, specifically for someone who is specialized for bikini, like, where we do want a large imbalance in our glutes relative to our legs. And it's like, being able to help spread awareness around like basic training principle, like these are just fundamental training principles, and be like, hey, like this, you can do the other stuff if you don't want to do this, but this is the more efficient way. This is the way that is going to, I hope, save people time in the long run. Because I was very much that athlete with like the glute med who I'm like, I'm doing like 10 sets of machine abductions and cable abductions. Like how many abductions do I have to do? Because this is like, it's very inefficient. It's not fun. Like it's not motivating. But at the same time, like I'm not seeing that bubble, that pop that I want to the glute med. And it wasn't until I started introducing contralaterally loaded B stance RDLs as well as split squats that I'm like, this is the way to like really load the glute med, and bias it